India is hosting the two-day BRICS foreign ministers meeting in New Delhi. The war in Iran and the global fuel crisis are the top items on the agenda dominating the talks. In fact, the BRICS foreign ministers meeting, coming as the bloc of leading emerging economies, faces division over the war in Iran. It also coincides with US President Donald Trump's ongoing China visit. In fact, India's External Affairs Minister has reaffirmed the country's stand that dialogue and diplomacy are the only sustainable means of resolving conflicts. He said the conflict in West Asia merits particular attention, adding that the continuing tensions, risks to maritime traffic, and disruptions to energy infrastructure highlight the fragility of the situation. Jaishankar's call for stability coming amid internal divisions within the grouping that has expanded over the course of the years. BRICS now includes Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Indonesia, and the UAE, and in addition to the original members, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. In fact, as the US-Iran war remains under the global spotlight, the Iranian foreign minister is in New Delhi to participate in the BRICS ministerial meetings. The minister arrived in the national capital aboard the aircraft carrying a pointed message from Tehran, which referred to what unfolded during the war when it comes to the school attack. The inscription on the plane being reference to the 168 school children in Iran that were killed as a result of that attack. Araghchi has called on BRICS member countries to explicitly condemn violations of international law by the US and Israel and prevent the politicization of international institutions.
That false sense of entitlement must be shattered by all of us. Iran, therefore, calls upon BRICS member states and all responsible members of the international community to explicitly condemn violations of international law by the United States and Israel, including their illegal aggression against Iran, a member of BRICS.
And on the sidelines of the BRICS meeting, Prime Minister Modi also met several foreign ministers, including Araghchi, the meeting coming amid the rising tensions in West Asia and marking the first high-level diplomatic engagement involving India since the Iran war started. The shadow of the war in West Asia looming large over the meeting, the ceasefire between Iran and the US remains precarious, with frequent accusations of violations in the Strait of Hormuz. The war of blockades in the critical waterway has triggered a global energy crisis, especially for India, which depends heavily on imports from the Gulf. As two-day BRICS ministerial remains underway, New Delhi is buzzing with diplomacy and several high-profile visits. The Indian External Affairs Minister hosting the conclave and has held bilateral meetings with his counterparts on the sidelines to strengthen ties, focus, and security and review bilateral cooperation. South Africa's Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, who is in New Delhi, has pushed for unity and underscored India-South Africa ties on a common BRICS currency. Lamola said it is a process that is still ongoing.
Have been more on the use of local currencies on trade. It is a process that is still ongoing, and we want to see that being developed because those who are financial experts say it's more cheaper to trade in local currency. It can also enhance BRICS trades amongst the BRICS countries. So it's indeed something that the BRICS has to continue to develop.
Meanwhile, the Maldivian foreign minister, who is on her first official visit to New Delhi, called relations with India long-standing and very close.
India has also been the first responder when the Maldives needed assistance at times of COVID, providing the vaccine. And on the 3rd November, when we needed the assistance to support the Maldives. And they are historically, several times, when we need consular assistance, bilaterally when we needed support for our development projects, support for our budget in order to ensure that the people of Maldives survive and their expectations are met.
And for more on this, WION's Assistant Editor for Foreign Affairs, Siddhant Sibal, getting us this report.
The BRICS Foreign Ministers meeting is underway here in the Indian national capital, Delhi. On day one, we saw the Indian External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, who is the host of the Foreign Ministers meeting, raising the issue of the unimpeded movement through the Hormuz. Now, the closure of Hormuz is a cause of concern for the international community because that has escalated the global food, fuel prices. But essentially, other than that, the big focus remains on bridging the gap amongst the BRICS countries on the West Asia situation. Now, two countries, Iran and UAE, are at loggerheads, and because of that, there hasn't been any joint statement. But of course, BRICS will be keen to send a message of unity, given the fact that a large portion of the global south looks up to this grouping for many things, including, of course, messages on global conflicts. India, on its part, in the national statement, called for dialogue and diplomacy when it comes to global conflicts, but also expressed concerns over situation in Gaza. On day two, we will see more developments, but the big focus will remain on the joint statement and essentially if it is able to mention the situation on West Asia. With video journalist Abhishek, Siddhant Sibal for WION in New Delhi.
To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.